All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bullpen Blues. As always, I'm your co-host Kevin Dixon, joined by our good buddy David Esser. David, how are we feeling?
All right. Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
Is the good news that the Phillies were 5-2 on the week?
That's not the good news. That's not the good news.
Hit me. What do we got?
Well, which one do you want first?
Give me the bad news so we can soften the blow with the good
Okay.
news. Yeah.
The bad news, which I will go into further detail here in a second, is that Kevin, I'm out on the Phillies. I'm
You're
done. I'm
back
out.
out. You're
I'm
back
out.
out
I'm
after your bad 2 days.
and
Okay.
I'm making it an official stance of being out until they prove otherwise. I'm going back on my offseason prediction. I know I said they would make the wild card. They would finish above the Mets. That's not happening anymore. They're going to come in third. They might come in fourth. Big series against the Nats this weekend. The Nats might whoop them. You never know. So I'm making that stance clear. I know you're not happy with this revelation. I know
I
you're
mean,
probably I know you're probably disappointed in me, but I'm
no,
out,
I
man. I'm
mean,
out.
dude, it was a bad 2 days, man. I mean, we were just sitting here after the Brewer series, all pumped up. You have a bad weekend and you're out.
I have no recollection of being pumped up. I'm out, man.
All
I've
right,
seen this show
well,
before.
I will keep the good times rolling for Bullpen Blues Nation and Phillies Nation. The Phillies Nation, not Phillies Nation.
Yeah, and shout out to Hector Nears bringing back the bullpen blues mantra, blowing a save. Love
Yeah,
that here.
I got a question for you though. I know we talked about it briefly.
Sure.
Why is JT calling a fastball?
Okay, so I don't want to get too off topic. I I feel very strongly that you cannot blame JT for that outing. We had watched JT call perfect pitches all night, do his job. He got through a Vince Velasquez start. Him and Vince killed it. Jose Alvarado out there spiking everything in the dirt. JT settled him down. All Hector had to do was throw the fastball where JT put his glove, and it wouldn't have been a home run. It would have been a pop fly. Like I understand the logic of don't
Yeah,
even
I
throw
mean,
Pablo a fastball, but JT was set up so far away from the plate. Like just throw it where he puts the glove, and you don't have this issue.
yeah, I mean, I'm not like necessarily putting all the blame on JT. It's obviously way more on theirs, but dude, everybody in the world knew that Pablo was sitting on a fastball there. Why would you throw him a fastball? And then they didn't want to throw him a fastball. They walked him. It didn't make any sense. It completely backwards. It's with the Harris. Can't call a fastball there, dude. Like his first two hacks was so blatantly obvious that he was sitting on a fastball. I don't know. Hector doesn't throw hard enough to just continue to try to blow them by him.
Maybe
Either way,
Hector.
same result.
I was like, maybe Hector should learn to throw a little harder. Like
Yeah,
I, and this was something, and now we're just full into the Hector Nears debate because obviously, he did not have a good weekend. Blew a save, already his second of the season. Which now another little off-topic point. So he's 2 for 8 in save opportunities, which is 75%, which puts him outside the top 20 in terms of closer, save rate efficiency in baseball. Which Kevin, that's not good. It's not
Oh,
great.
we knew he's not a closer. We've been saying it. I don't think the guy stinks. I just don't think he's a closer.
Yeah, and we've been saying that all offseason. Closer was a position I really wanted this team to address. What I'm so frustrated about is that there were options in free agency who signed for less than what Hector's being paid right now. Mark Melanson, Ian Kennedy, and they've both been perfect in terms of save rate. And like I know Dave Dombrowski, he came in late. He didn't have a lot to work with. They'd already committed money to Hector Nears, but it's like, man, it's the same story every offseason. Like you're allowed to upgrade the closer position and bump Nears down at the eighth inning. But the point me and Kevin we were texting about, one of my biggest issues with Hector is the fact that he only throws 2 pitches. I think it's so tough in today's game, where you're right. Whether a hitter's sitting fastball or they're sitting splitter, I do think he needs that third, off speed pitch to really get hitters guessing a little bit more because it's just so easy to read what he's throwing. I know he's messed with the slider before; it hasn't worked. But that's always been my big thing with Hector, where if one of his pitches is off, if hitters just aren't swinging at one of his pitches, if they're locating his pitches well, he's kind of stuck, and then you just leave him out there to die. because you're already in the ninth inning. You've already earned him. He has to go through three hitters, and that's always been my biggest issue with him is the fact that he only has two pitches in his arsenal.
I think the thing that's so frustrating is it's not like he wasn't on. Like his splitter was on. That's why like I just couldn't believe that they weren't throwing it to Pablo, who's notoriously known to chase and strike out. Oh, he's just gonna sit dead red. So I mean, hey man, I'm perfectly fine with us shifting, moving on from this ugly weekend because we have a big series coming up. But it's hard to understand how that happened and how we move forward from here. Because look, we like we were saying before we got on, they need to move on. It's over with. Yeah, it was a bad weekend, awful series. Still have a big series coming up here with Washington. We haven't seen them yet this year. Got to move on. You can't come out flat like they did last night. What you were mentioning before we came on is something they seem to do a lot after a bad loss. I agree with that. Um, you got to move on. We just got to put it behind us. Try to look at the positives and just try to get another 5 game run going.
Yeah, it would be nice. Because you're right, they were on a
But
5 game
you're
run.
out on them though. You can't celebrate it, dude.
Well, I can root. I'm still gonna root for them, but I'm definitely until they prove me otherwise. I'm gonna be out. But Kevin, I never gave you my good news. You want to hear the good news?
Of course I do. Yeah, that's why I wanted to get the bad news out of the way.
Yeah, bad news out of the way. As the listeners may have known, I've been in a little men's softball league
Mm,
here at
mm.
school. Had our championship game last night, and we got moved up to the men's A bracket because we were beating teams in the B bracket.
Oh, shit.
So we got moved up to the best bracket. Still won the championship last night. So we're the big winners.
What was your line, dude?
I want to say because I know I drew a walk to start the game, which is like my proudest moment in slow pitch.
Oh,
I can
fucking
work
slow
a
pitch
walk,
softball. My goodness.
and then I was like 3 for 4 at the plate, 3 for 5. I think it was 3 for 5. So I was
Who
yeah,
the
it was
hell was on the mound when they walked you? Was it Velasquez?
yeah, it was Vinny. Yeah, we got to work the count. We got to see some pitches.
See what he's throwing, right?
Yeah, see what
Yeah,
he's
dude,
working
that's
with.
awesome, man. It's been a couple years since I played slow pitch. I'd love to get back out there. We joke all the time at work. In our office, there's a lot of baseball players. We're like, we'd have a damn good team if we ever got to one together. Tell you what, though, we're gonna rock some wiffle ball this summer when we get together.
Yeah, I feel like I've told you this before. On campus, there's like a little mini baseball park that's perfect for wiffle ball games. So me and all my roommates, we get over there, we play wiffle ball like once a week, and it's like literally the bases, the home run wall. It's all perfectly designed for wiffle. I have no idea why it's there. I don't know who built it, but yeah, like once a week we'll go there and we'll all play wiffle ball, and it's a whole lot of fun. But
Wiffle ball guy on the beach and stuff. Your beach game.
yeah, so fun. Love me some wiffle ball.
Yep.
All right, Philly.
Yeah, we need to. They got to move on, David. It's as simple as that. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, the longer they dwell on that, it was an awful, awful Saturday night. I mean, last night stunk, but the real one that hurts is Saturday because it was there not once, not twice, three separate times for the taking. They choked them all away, including 7-4. I could not believe it, man. Can't believe it. And we were all high on Danielle, and he comes out and was just awful. McCutchen, awful in left field, misplaying multiple balls on Saturday night, costing the Phillies runs. It's just a mess, man. He's got to move on. It's easy for me to say it as a fan. Uh, I want to say it from the team. We got to come out. We got to use this off day effectively. Come out tomorrow refreshed with a new mindset of put it behind us. Let's go get a win.
Yeah, and this past weekend for me, I thought was a really good example of why I am so against the, it's just one game mentality. Because I think we saw that Saturday night. And I'm not even calling out anyone in particular. I just kind of collectively saw it from the fan base. You blow a lead three separate times. You lose a Vince Velasquez start that you should have won. I mean, it was perfectly set up for a win. I know a lot of people were frustrated with Girardi, but they went Coonrod, Alvarado, Hector Nears. Like that's your three best relievers, perfectly lined up for a win. You had the lead. Coonrod, Alvarado, they did their jobs. Like you are perfectly positioned for a win. You then blow that game. You somehow navigate through extra innings. Brandon Kinsler intentionally loading the bases, like it's all perfect. And then you give yourself 3 runs to work with in the 12th. And obviously, Enio De Los Santos, not a major league pitcher. You don't want him on the roster anymore. It is what it is. Like I'm not sitting here like, oh, screw you, Enio. This is your fault. Like I'm not surprised that he got rocked. But this is why I hate that it's just one game mentality, because that one game cost them the series. That was their shot to win the series, to win 6 in a row, to finish off a really strong week, to capitalize. Everybody was just like, oh, it's fine. We have Aaron Nola on the mound. Well, Aaron Nola didn't have his stuff on Sunday. He got rocked. I don't know if it was the pressure, the Sunday night baseball, whatever the situation, but that's why I hate that mentality of, oh, it's just one game. It's a 162 game season. Like you have to be treating every single game like it's game 7 in the World Series. When you have an opportunity to take 2 or 3 against a division rival who's won the division the last 3 years running, you got to capitalize off that.
Yeah. Hey man, like I said, I don't disagree. But at the same time, like as the ball club, as fans, we're allowed to harp on it. But if the ball club needs to move on, because for the team, it is one game. I get why it's different fan base, because we get to break everything down and be really critical of everything. But for the team, they just got to put it behind. I can't stress it enough. They just got to move on. They can go out and win Tuesday. We like if we would have won last night, then we can be like, all right, we can start to put it behind us. They need to win a game so we can start to move forward. Because the more losses that stack up, we're just going to keep looking at Saturday night. Uh, they got to break this spell, just to get into some of the weird decisions Joe Girardi made on Saturday night. Double switching Gene Segura out of the game. Don't understand it. I know it's a guy that we're talking about eventually maybe playing first base, but I think even as bad as Reese Haskins has been defensively, he gets to that ball that Didi Gregorius threw away in the 11th, I believe it was. I think Brad Miller probably gets it. It wasn't a great throw, but it wasn't so far off the line that Bohm shouldn't have caught it. That allowed a run to score. Just like some weird things that he did. Um, just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. You take your best hitter out of the lineup for a double switch. I understand you're winning, but it's only 3-1. It's not like teams have come back from 2-run deficits before. It's not out of the question to think that they could have rallied, which they did. And then it hurt the Phillies in extra innings when you had stinking Reese Hoskins up there, who you can't hit water if he falls out of a boat. Instead, you could have had your guy who's hitting nearly 400 with first and second. You know what I mean? Like some weird things really came to backfire on them. And looking back on it now, we should have seen it coming.
I have a rather, I guess, controversial opinion, because you're right, a lot of people were upset with Joe. The decisions, looking back in hindsight, don't look like good ones. Taking out Gene Segura, constantly shuffling around your infield. You had Knapp at first, Scotty at third by the end of the game. My my biggest takeaway is, look, if Hector gets the job done in the ninth, we're not having that
No doubt
conversation.
about it. Yeah, for sure.
I actually
Yeah.
thought Joe managed the game perfectly up to the ninth inning. He pulled Vince right when he should have, yanked, kept that leash short. Coonrod, Alvarado, Hector, it was perfectly managed to get you that win in 9 innings. You don't want to go to extras. You do whatever you can to win this game in 9 innings. Hector's just got to make the pitch. And I know we have already had this conversation, but if you give Joe, I feel like just a legit lockdown closer, which I understand is harder to come by than we may make it out to seem. But that was my takeaway with Joe, is that if Hector does his job, if Hector does the job he's being paid $5 million to do, we're not having that conversation. Again, you get to extra innings, I kind of feel like all rules go out the window, start double switching everywhere, position players all over the place. I actually thought the decision to get Scott at third was a rather good one. It saved them a base hit at one point. I know Scott charged on a ball that was kind of blooped down the line. Bohm's not making that play. But yeah, it looked weird. I guess it's just kind of one of those things. Hindsight's always 2020. If the closer closes the game, we're not really commenting on Joe's odd defensive substitutions.
Well, the one thing on Scotty I'll disagree with is I don't even think he should be in the big leagues, let alone playing third base.
Neither do I. And
He needs to get off the roster.
this is something I didn't have down in my notes, but something I want to talk to you about, Kevin. Like,
He stinks, dude.
well, this is on Dombrowski now. I feel like Dombrowski's got to give Joe some options here because right now he has no choice but to continue calling up Mickey Moniak and Scott Kingery, who I thought like 2 weeks ago, everyone in the organization was in agreement that these guys are going to see consistent reps in the minor leagues. Because look, Scott Kingery, he looks like a sunk cost. That sucks, hurts, but
He looks like he's done, man.
it looks like he's done. Which you know what? That's awful, man. I'm really really annoyed that didn't work out. But if you want to salvage any sort of value, he's got to figure out his swing. He can't do that batting once a week up in the major leagues. You got to stop calling him up. Mickey Moniak, he showed us some flashes in spring training. Let him continue doing that in AAA. But the Phillies can't do that because there's no other options on the roster. There needs to be two more center fielders that Joe can turn to that aren't Mickey Moniak. There needs to be another backup infielder on the roster that isn't Scott Kingery so that we can leave these guys down in the minor leagues.
I would think Ruben Tejada will be up soon, dude. Like you just said, like we talked about it last episode. If he's healthy, gotta think he's a better option than Scott Kingery.
Sure. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
even matter to me. We just need to let these kids. I guess Scott's not really a kid anymore, but
yeah.
you gotta. If the
I get
plan
what
was
you mean now. Yeah.
if the plan was to let them develop, you got to let them develop.
No, I get it. And just to touch on center, um, the most hated player on the Phillies, I would guess, probably starting to figure out a little bit with the bat. He had a nice week. Let's hope that can keep going. He's right near 200. I'm pretty sure now. I think he's six for his last 20 or something. He's hitting like 290 over this past week. Hit some balls hard last night. Um, it's a pretty good lineup if you can have Segura hitting seventh, him hitting eighth, and they both start to figure it out. They should start to score some runs. They did it multiple times this week. But what can't happen is you can't go 2 runs in the first, 1 run in the second, no runs till extra innings. You can't come out last night, lead off homer. That's it. It's just really boomer bust right now with this lineup.
Yeah. And you mentioned Segura hitting seventh. Segura isn't hitting seventh anymore, brother. He's hitting second.
Yeah, he hit second yesterday, but I'm just in general, like he's damn good.
Yes.
Yeah, he can hit, man.
Yeah, and I'm very glad Joe moved him up in the lineup. I think that's a good
Yes.
decision. We've talked all season long how there's not been enough RBI opportunities for Harper and Real Muto. And granted, they didn't really do anything with him last night. I'm not too worried about those two. Um, but yeah, I think Segura, top of the lineup. If Kutch can continue to swing the bat well, top of the lineup, that I feel pretty good about that first four as long as they're getting on base. And then yeah, look, if Odubel gives you anything down in the 8 hole, it's a boost right now. I mean, his on base percentage is going to be higher than Reese Haskins pretty soon. So look, I understand a lot of people don't want him on the roster. I tend to agree with that mindset, but if he's giving you production out of the 8 hole, you kind of just have to just be grateful that you're getting something there because before it was Roman Quinn hitting under sub 100 for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, and just Harper, like I saw a bunch about him. Like all he did was just go the last 2 games without a hit. Like guys do that all the time. Like I just can't stand the just how the fan base has become. It's just like it's just ridiculous, man. Nah, I mean he went 0 for 9 in the last 2 games. Like, all right, but before that he was 2 for 5 on Friday. He had a hit in his return against the Mets last week. And he's not gonna get a hit every night. Like this doesn't happen. And it just
Yeah,
has to do with the team in general. Like Saturday aside, awful. Last night stunk. The world isn't falling after every loss. Basically, what I'm trying to get at. Because, like you said, like I get it. It's more than 1 game. Because you're right, it cost them the series. There's no question. It cost them that series against Atlanta. But the team needs to be mentally tougher to be able to move on. I can't stress that enough, David. It's like the 5th time I said it in this episode. You guys got to move on so we can move on. You know, they get a big series win against the Nats. We're probably feeling a lot better when we record on Thursday.
So a fun stat, or I guess not a fun stat, that I wanted to pull up at the beginning of the show, but I want to pull up now. So the Phillies, obviously, they started off the season 2-0 against the NL East in terms of series wins. Start off the
Yep.
season 5-1. Knocked off the Braves, knocked off the Mets. Kevin, since then, they've played the NL East 4 times. They've lost all 4 series, and they've lost 9 of 12 in their division. Like, to me, we can talk about the record. We can talk about how they're only a game out. Whatever whatever you want to do, we can talk about that. To me, the fact that they're 3-9 in their last 12 against the NL East, against the Braves and the Mets, that's super concerning to me. And look, there's a lot of baseball left to be played. We're not going to be seeing the Braves for quite some time.
Thank
But
God.
that's the competition. We talked all off season long. You got to come out strong against the Braves and Mets. If you take out that opening week, which I mean, and you can't. Like they won those baseball games. I get it. But if you look just over the past couple times they faced these teams, Kevin, they've gotten dominated.
Define dominated.
I mean, they're 3-9.
Yeah, but it's not like they're getting like dominated in terms of like they're getting blown out.
I mean, in the standings, they've not looked good against those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, just like off topic, but on topic. Whoever made the schedule, what the hell were they doing?
The worst.
Like they've already played the Mets 9 times. They played the Braves 9 times. They've already finished with St. Louis. They played 7 against St. Louis already. Let's see. It's May 10th, David. They've one more road series in Atlanta this year. Like, what the hell? Like, who the hell made the schedule and was like, "Hey, this looks good. We can live with that." Yeah, well, let's play the same teams for the first month.
Yeah, it's not made for good like watching.
It's
Like it's not even an
ridiculous, man.
enjoyable experience.
Like we've played the pretty much. It just feels like we've played Atlanta, St. Louis, New York. It feels like that's all we've played so far. I know we played a couple other series, but like,
I can't even
how the hell did this get the green light?
I can't even remember who else have we played. Like I
Played
can't even
Milwaukee.
remember.
They got the
Yeah,
brooms out
Milwaukee.
on. They played
Okay.
Colorado, which was ugly.
Yeah, we don't talk about
San
Colorado.
Fran, which is ugly.
Yeah. All right. Okay, you're right.
That's it. They've played
like,
six. Played 6 ball clubs so far.
yeah, that's horrible.
That's insane. And that's like a lighthearted moment here on like a more serious episode of the show. But like, how are we 35 games in and we played 6 ball clubs? It's just crazy. And you know what? Like, part of me is kind of like, all right, now we can play Washington in Miami. Like, I'm looking forward to playing Washington because we haven't seen them. Just overseeing the Mets and the Braves, man. And we play the Mets again, I think, in June. It's crazy. It's just never ending.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to see John Lester pitch in a, in a Nats jersey for the first time.
Just to pivot to this Natty series, they don't get Scherzer. They're winning this series. It's my approach to this. Come out and win this series. They should. They miss Scherzer. Who do they have pitching in this series? They have Eflin.
Chase Wheeler Eflin.
Gotta take 2 or 3.
I mean, and like we joke. Of course, they got to take 2 or 3. You got Wheeler and Eflin on the mound. You should be winning those games 9 out of 10 times. Chase Anderson has got to give you something tomorrow. Like, and this kind of we talked about Vince. He's been impressive. Honestly, Kevin, I'm tired of praising guys for like giving you a gutsy 5 1/3. There are so many teams in baseball with their 4th and their 5th starters occasionally give you 6 innings, occasionally give you 6+. We saw it last night with Yanoa just out of nowhere coming in 6 innings of great work on the mound. Like Chase Anderson, I'm tired of it, man. You got to give this team more than 5 innings. You got to start mowing down some guys. And this Nats lineups, they got 2 guys who can hit the baseball. They got 2. Like you got to give me more than your usual, 95 pitches through 5 innings of work.
In that same breath, though, Girardi needs to let him go a little bit.
Well, he's got to give him a reason to.
For sure. No, I agree with that. Like 100%. We need more, without a doubt. But at the same time, Girardi can't yank him at the first sign of adversity. Like we were talking about last episode, like one of these starts, they're going to have to let Anderson dig his own grave. Basically, what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, and I think tomorrow would be a good one to do it. Look,
You're
banking on the offense. They're taking on Fetty for the Nats, who is not good.
He'll
Like,
he'll spend like 7 on us or
yeah,
something.
most likely, right? 12 Ks. But like, there's got to be a point where Chase Anderson he proves to us, all right, are you a serviceable number 5 or are you a plus number 4? Because right now, I think we have two like maybe number 5s on the roster in Chase Anderson and
Agree with
Vince
that.
Velasquez.
But I think they got 2 number 5s.
I think they have two. I think they have two maybe number 5s, like maybe. But yeah, there's.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's got to be a point where Chase Anderson flips the switch, and because look, we've praised him this season. I'm still confident. I'm holding out hope that he can
Yeah,
give you productive outings twice a week, but he hasn't done it yet.
for sure, and I do wanna pivot before we get out of here to Vince Velasquez, because as much as we've been hard on him, at the same time, he's been good the last couple outings. So, throw him a bone. Nice work, Vince. Let's keep it rolling. Nice work, but that doesn't mean the work's over, not even close to being over. You have to consistently do this start after start after start. Since he re-entered the rotation, he's made 4 starts. The team's 2-2. He has a 3.20 ERA, 213 batting average against. The thing that's hurting him is the slugging percentage. Teams are taking him deep. He's getting up 6 long balls. The thing is, though, he's managed to limit the traffic. They're not 3-run homers. They're not grand slams. He's not getting killed that way. He's certainly been, however, we've seen with Vince. I would like to see it continue and be more consistent moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna be full transparency. Look, slow golf clap to Vince for his work. The last couple outings, I don't think it's gonna continue like at all.
That's fair
Um,
because it hasn't in the past. Like that, I agree with that. Like
yeah, and
we've
his
seen before.
his control has been pretty concerning, specifically against the Braves on Saturday. He threw 90 pitches, only 39. Or I'm sorry, 51 were for strikes. So not all that terrible, but still, it was not like he's hammering the zone. He was falling behind in counts quite a bit, working from behind, getting a little lucky, some ground balls and pop ups. And look, that's part of the game. If he if he can keep stacking up good performances, by all means, do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm not confident it's going to continue. I would still prefer if he was out of the rotation sometime soon. I'm not expecting a move. Yeah, I'm not jumping on the Vince bandwagon quite yet, just because I don't think his style of pitching is going to be sustainable.
No, and look, I want to make it clear, like I don't disagree. I'm not necessarily saying it is sustainable, but he's done it the last couple, so like I'm just saying, like nice, but I want to see more. That's all. The one thing that you can take away from the Atlanta start is he had 12 swinging strikes, which is the most he's had all year. That's usually a pretty good sign. Um, and I agreed with your assessment that Girardi pulled him at the right time. At that point, when it initially happened, I was kind of like, why? But then even 10 minutes later, I texted him and was like, okay, that was a good call. Yeah, get him out of there. We can feel good about the outing. I mean, in his last two, let's see what his numbers are the last two, because he's had put together 2 good starts in a row. Um, he's lowered his ERA over 2.5 points. 1.59 ERA in his last 2 starts, but once again, 2 long balls. So let's just see more. Is basically what I'm trying to get at. Like I'm happy with what he's done, but like you said, I'm not counting on it to continue. Would love to see it continue though.
Yeah, and look, I'm never going to complain about productive outings 5 plus. I want more. I want way, way
Sure,
more
yeah,
because I think
absolutely.
there's so many teams in baseball who seem to. I mean, I think we talked about last episode. Like Cole Irvin's out here pitching 7 innings a night. Like, where's that for
Got,
the
got
Phillies?
rocked yesterday though.
Oh, did he? All right, so maybe we're back out on Cole Irvin. Interesting. All right. So, but before we touch on our Philly of the week, I want to talk about Reese Hoskins real quick.
Yep. Yep.
Reese Hoskins, we touched on it. Got moved down in the lineup from 2 to 7. Whole lot of people were upset. Kevin, for the life of me, I cannot see why this move got criticized the way it did. The guy is not getting on base. His batting average is low. Look, I am fully aware that he hits the ball hard. I like seeing those numbers. His exit velocity is very high. His barrel percentage is very high. His hard hit percentage is very high. Those are good signs that a player might be back on track soon. But you're looking at one of the most streaky players in baseball. You can't have a guy that streaky with an on base percentage below 300 hitting in front of Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto. You just can't do it. You got Gene Segura, who looks like he's kind of found shades of his old self, hitting 300 plus. Like that, you got to have him in front of your big bats. Let Reese Haskins kind of go down to the 7 hole, give you a home run once in a while, give you a double once in a while, and be thankful that you're getting some production out of the back end of your lineup. But at the moment, he's just way too inconsistent to have in the top four.
Yeah, hey, I agree, and it's like when the people, the fan base for whatever reason loved Michael Franco, and it was like, he's not very good. Like, why do we like this guy so much? Hey, man, I'd love to see Hoskins do better. Not overly impressed, man, with what he's done. I mean, he has 8 homers. What was 4 of them in that Colorado series? If you take that series out, what has he done?
Yeah, exactly. And I would expect a majority of his hard hit balls and barrels and all that stuff that came in, in a 2 week span compared to the rest of the season, right?
Yeah, he's just a mess. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Since that Colorado series, David, he's hitting 204, 645 OPS. These 2 homers. I mean, it's just unacceptable.
Well, and,
There's
can we
no other way to
throw
put
out
it.
the notion that like Gabe Kapler broke him? Because Gabe's having a damn good year, Kevin. And we've talked about that before. We're both relatively high on Gabe Kapler as a manager. Like at some point, you look at his career splits, you look at how many times he goes in these types of slumps and then breaks out and hits, 4 home runs over a 4 game stretch. So this is just who Hoskins is. He's just inconsistent. Look, when he's on, and he's one of the better first basemen in baseball. But when he's off, he's unusable some nights.
Yeah, and the only pushback I'll have on that, because I don't disagree with you, is if we're going to use that argument for Hoskins, we can't act like they broke Scott Kingery either.
They
Like
broke Scott Kingery.
it goes
Scott
both
Kingery's an
ways.
elite
Like
second baseman. He's an elite second. No, no,
it,
you're right. Look, at some
it goes
point,
both ways, you know.
I agree 1000%. At the end of the day, look, they're like,
It's on the player, man. Like,
the player's the one holding the bat, right?
yeah,
They got to
exactly.
hit the ball.
Yep. So that's all. Like, I agree with that testament, and just it's just got to be consistent. That's all. So like, if we're going to use it for Reese, we got to use it for Scott.
No, I
That's
agree.
all.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. And
Yep.
then in the same breath, Reese has got to be consistent. Look, if he wants to start hitting 270 and hitting all these home runs and all these doubles, then look, they'll move him up to cleanup. They'll get him
Yeah.
back up there. But at the moment, you got Kutch, who's kind of which we haven't really talked about. We'll talk about him with our Philly of the Week conversation.
Yeah.
You got Kutch, who's seeing the ball well as a leadoff hitter now. You have Gene, who's hitting like
Was that a
370.
preview? Was that a preview in the affiliate of the week?
A little teaser. You never know. Then you have Bryce and JT. You can't really move those two like that. That's
Yeah.
your front four at the moment. There's no reason to change it.
No question. And at the same time, it's not the worst thing to have a guy that can run into one hitting 7th at the same time. It
Yeah,
gets you
and
some pop at the bottom of the lineup.
I tweeted out stats similar to what you said, like his batting average since over the last month or whatever. And Destiny Legardo of Phillies Nation, friend of the
Love her.
pod,
Friend of the pod.
she quote tweeted me with the notion that it wasn't a knock on Reese being moved down. It was more so
Yeah, I
a
saw that. Yeah.
reflection of
Yeah.
how deep the lineup is. I like kind of agree with that. Like
Yep.
having Gene Segura back is a luxury. I do think it's kind of a knock because they move Reese below Didi and Bohm, who both aren't hitting the ball like particularly great this season. Bohm in specific has not been very good at the plate. So I do think it's a little bit of a knock on Hoskins. Like, hey, bud, stop striking out so much, and we'll move you back up. But it goes both ways. Where getting Gene back makes this lineup far deeper than it was when he wasn't healthy.
I 100% agree, David. I do. And it's like when they moved Franco to 8th, everyone loved it. It's not bad to have that kind of guy there. Look, if Hoskins is going to hit 7th, though, it's the same as the 2 hole. You just don't be afraid to work a walk if you need to, because it's big to turn that lineup over, if anything, like especially that 8 hole. If you can get on base in front of the pitcher with 2 outs, okay, even if he makes an out, you've rolled the lineup over. But before we pivot, you talked about somebody coming back. Guy made his return last night, David. Ranger Suarez. Pretty good outing. 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 hits. Um, faced 8 guys. Didn't give up any runs. We walked one. Hadn't really pitched much at all since 2019. He had 3 appearances last year through 4 innings. That's a good sign that Rangers back on the club because we've been preaching for a left-hander. Maybe it's him. I mean, he's shown flashes in the past. He was pretty good in 2019, 3.14 ERA in 37 games. Who knows, man? Maybe it's him. Maybe he can come in and really help this team. He seems like he's like the forgotten guy. Like we hadn't really talked much about him.
Well, he's better than Matt Moore. I can tell you that. No, Rangers. Look, Rangers had a tough 2 years.
Yes.
He's battled some injuries. I know he had a really nasty bout with COVID, and then I think he had some visa issues and wasn't able to get to spring training. So you're
Yep.
right in your assessment that the dude has barely pitched over the last 18 months. So for him to come back, and full transparency, I didn't get to see this part of the game. I was kind of in and out last night, but
He
look,
looks good, man.
I
Yeah.
saw the stat line. I saw people praising him on Twitter. I can put 2 and 2 together here. But yeah, Rangers, a guy I liked. He was impressive in 2019. I thought he was one of the better relievers that year. Doesn't have a ton of velocity or stuff to him, but look, he pounds the zone. He throws in some good pitches. He works some weak contact. If he can be that new kind of lefty long man, and we can kick old Matt Moore to the curb, I'm totally on board with that because look, this team is in desperate need of pitching depth. We saw it 2 nights ago when you have Eniel De Los Santos, who couldn't even crack the bullpen on last year's team, trying to take down high leverage innings. Like you got to get out of that situation. You got to have guys with a little bit more experience, a little bit more, pitching ability, to put it quite bluntly, on the mound when you don't have your high leverage guys available.
For sure. Yeah, no, for sure. So it's just good to see a guy like Ranger make his return. He's only 25 years old, so he should still have a lot of innings left on that arm.
There's something there for sure. All right, Kevin. Before we pivot to our final segment, were there any other topics, players you wanted to touch on briefly?
I did, and I briefly mentioned it to you the other day. I have a prospect here who I truly believed in because Mark Appel, minor league,
Yeah,
has made his return. He looked pretty good the other night in Double A. No expectations on the guy. It's the former number 1 pick. He came over in the Vince Velasquez Ken Giles trade. He was a throw in. Touched 95 in his outing the other day. We talked maybe he's a bullpen guy for this team. He obviously had the stuff when he was younger. I think he's 30 years old, 31 maybe. This guy had number 1 pick talent. So who knows? It's definitely an interesting player. Who knows what's going to come of it? So I came to you and said, I think it'd be cool if we each targeted a guy that we believed was going to be a great Philly, who was a prospect, who was highly touted, who never worked out. Did you come up with anybody?
so yeah, when you texted this, the name immediately came to mind, and I'm pulling up his wiki page right here just so I get the
Okay.
information correct. But
Okay.
it was Ben Revere, and the
Ooh,
reason it was
yeah.
Ben Revere was because he came over to the Phillies, what, 2012? Yeah, or at the end of the 2012 season, he was traded. Oh, that was part of the Trevor May trade. Okay, that's
It
crazy.
was the Vance Worley deal, right?
Yeah, the Vance Worley Trevor May deal.
Yeah.
So he was on the opening day lineup in 2013, and I just remember like kind of the super weird buzz around Ben Revere, and this was
Right.
this was only a year removed from the 2011 squad, so we didn't think we were going to be like bad moving forward. We were
Yeah.
still like, all right, this team can turn it around. There's still a lot of core pieces here. Like we're still good. We're going to be back
Yep.
in the postseason. And I just remember people talking up Ben Revere like he was something special. I remember logging on to the Phillies site, and there was always articles about Ben Revere this, Ben Revere that in spring training. I was like, yeah, like, this guy's the next. This is our next great leadoff hitter. He's going to replace J. Roll in that spot one day. Like I'm all in. And like
Yep.
Kevin, he wasn't. He was not that. He was not that good.
Weird guy because he just never like he would have been a pretty good player. Hitter for the Phillies, but he like would walk like 10 times a year. So like how good is that really like you're still getting on base really not that much. And you're a speed guy. Yeah, Ben Revere, that's a good one, man. I didn't think you were gonna go that far back. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's the first one that
Yeah.
popped in my head.
Wow, yeah, and he's still only 33. He flamed out of the league last played in 2017, but that's a
Yeah,
good one.
this is
That's
funny. I'm just scrolling
yeah,
through his page right now. There was a, I guess, Phillies Nation. This is an old, I guess, I don't know who this guy is. He probably doesn't write there anymore. Published an article that the Phillies were the quote clear winners of the Ben Revere trade. Like the hype was real, Kevin. He was
are
going to
we
be an
sure
all
about that?
star.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, man, wow. Frustrating guy because he could fly, and it was just like, wow, he walked 13 times, it looks like, in 2014 in 157 games. I mean, dude, there were like 30 walks on there, and you're a good player. I
Yeah,
don't know. That's an interesting one. Um, for my prospect that I loved, and he's still hanging on. It really didn't work out once they signed Bryce Harper. I love Nick Williams. Loved Nick Williams. And then he came up in 2017. In 83 games, he hit 288, 811 OPS, 12 homers, 14 doubles. He looked like he was going to be a damn good player, David. They got him in the Cole Hamels deal. He's actually now on the 40-man roster for the White Sox. He has 10 at bats this year, no hits. Very Nick Williams-esque right there. Uh, I really liked Nick Williams at the time. I thought he was going to be something special.
yeah, that's a good one. And I remember there was like a section of the fan base that was annoyed when they signed Harper because they were like,
Idiot.
what are we gonna do with Nick
Idiot.
Williams?" I was like, I don't care. Like, put him, cut him. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? Like,
Yeah.
we got
Who
Bryce Harper.
cares?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one too.
That's who I really believed in. And it makes you wonder, like, if they knew they were going to get Harper, do they sign Kutch? Because once they signed Kutch and Harper, it blocked Williams from having any chance to develop in Philly. I mean, that was kind of it, you know? Uh, but yeah, Nick Williams, I'm happy to see he's still hanging on, even though he hasn't done anything. But love Nick Williams. Another guy from that deal I liked was Jake Thompson, starting pitcher. Uh, he ended up going to like Korea or something. I was torn between those two guys. It's just a cool little thing, like because the Mark Appel thing, I'm rooting for him. No expectations, like good for him, man. He's like one of the only number one picks to ever not make it to the show. Would love to see it happen in red pinstripes if he can help them.
Yeah, and not this year, of course, but maybe later down the line
Yeah,
if
who
he
knows?
can
Yeah.
become that bullpen arm.
Yep.
Definitely rooting for him. It's a fun story. All right,
Yep.
it is Monday morning, so we're gonna do our Philly of the week
Yep.
a day late, but right after the Sunday night series,
Yep.
right on schedule. Kevin, do you want to start us off? Who was your, or do you want to start Philly of the week or least non-Philly of the week?
I feel like to be um like to end on a positive note, we should probably do the non-Philly of the week first.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah,
Do you have a name?
of course.
Go for it.
Reese Haskins.
Okay.
He was awful. Hit 190 on the week.
Not
One extra base hit. No homers. He had 2 RBIs, 9 strikeouts, of course. OPS under 500. Got demoted in the lineup. I honestly, David, think we're trending towards Brad Miller seeing more time at first.
you know, I
I think we're getting in that direction here. If
I
McCutchen
tw-
keeps hitting,
I tweeted that out because I
yeah,
was I was making the point that you have Brad Miller and Nick Maton, who
yep,
both probably deserve everyday reps. And I'm like, on any given day, you could shuffle this lineup to where Bohm's playing first, Segura's playing third, Maton's at second, Miller's playing first. You keep Bohm at third. Like, there's ways to get those two in the lineup, specifically with Brad. Look, Brad's been phenomenal.
yep.
And yeah, no, Reese not been good. Look, fouled a couple balls off pretty hard though. So you never know. But yeah,
Well,
he's
he grounded out to third, but his exit velocity on it was like 108 miles per hour. So it's basically a hit.
it's basically a grand slam.
I hate that argument. Like I get it. Like it is a good thing to feel like, all right, you squared it up. That's good. You feel good about that. At the end of the day, though, it's an out, dude. You go for 5, you hit 4 balls hard. What's the difference if you went 0 for 5 with 5-week groundouts? Still over.
And that was, I was in a debate on Twitter, and I was kind of making that point where I'm like, these quote analytics, right? easily accessible to anybody. You just pull up,
Yeah.
Statcast, Baseball Savant, whatever. Um, I think they're useful to be used as a tool to be like, all right, this player's on the verge of getting his swing back, right? Like we used that for Bohm a couple times, where he's still one of the top average exit velocity, third baseman in baseball. That's promising. It's not like he lost all his strength. Like this is just a timing thing, which is good to know. But look, that's part of baseball, right? Like part of baseball is you can't just go up there and swing for the fences every time. And I am truly amazed after the pushback we saw during the Gabe Kapler era, where they were definitely instructing guys swing for the fences every single time, and everybody hated it. And now here we are 2 years later, where all Reese Haskins is trying to do is put a ball on the third deck, and he's striking out a ton, he's not working, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's fine," but he might hit a home run once. I'm like, "Yeah, but that's part of baseball. There's an art to hitting of putting a ball in play once in a while, going opposite field, working the gaps, figuring out where the pitcher's putting the pitches." So yeah, look, I agree. It's a promising sign he's hitting the ball hard, but an out's an out. It's just that's
Yeah.
baseball.
I mean, look, if for the people that are using it that he's about to get it turned around, clock's ticking.
We're waiting.
We're still waiting. I'm waiting for the breakout, aside from a 2 or 3 game series.
And look, and that'll be the moment I think we both collectively agree that he might be a legit building block at first base if it's consistent, if it's over a month span, a 2 month span, not just a couple of days in Colorado where Roman Quinn is looking to hit home runs as well. Like there's just got to be consistent, man. So yeah, I agree. I think that probably would have been my pick as the non Philly of the week.
You know where I'm at with Reese. Let's get this year over with. We'll move Bone to first. Chris Bryant will stick at third base.
Hey, Chris
Call it a
Bryant's
day.
having a heck of a season, man.
You see, he was playing center field the other day. I thought that was interesting.
Is he really?
Yeah,
Dude
I was
rocks.
like, all right, let's go get him. Stick him in center.
Shout out to all the people who wrote him off after what, like 40 bad games last year.
Oh, I can't wait till they sign him and I could beat the table that I led the charge.
Yes,
It's Chris
sir.
Bryant.
Chris, if
Let's
you're
get him
listening to the
fired up.
podcast, we'll love you here.
Yeah. Well, if he's listening to the pod, he owes us. If he signs here, he owes us an interview because I have been driving that home for nearly a year now.
I was gonna say, if not longer.
Yeah.
We're all in on Chris Bryant in Philly. All right, Kevin, my non-Philly of the week, and I was really stuck between two, but I'm gonna go with Aaron Nola.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think there's context to last night's start. Look, bad starts happen. That's part of baseball. We've
Yeah.
talked about it on this podcast before. Not every game is going to be an 8 inning shutout. Not every game is going to be a complete game shutout. But look, we've kind of been down this road before with Nola, where it's like sometimes when the lights get brightest, Sunday night baseball, big rubber match against the Braves, that's when you look at your ace. And I might even put ace in quotation marks. You look at your guy and you say, look, you're going up against Yanoa, right? Like this is not some duel of the elite pitchers here. You are clearly the favorite to win this game. He went out there, he got rocked. Look, I think this Braves team is still very, very good. Freddie Freeman has awoken. He's alive. He wasn't going to hit 200 the whole season. He's
Yep.
very much a threat. They have two legitimate MVP candidates on that roster. Super deep team. But I was very disappointed to see Nola kind of not even just lose the game, but knock the Phillies out almost immediately by giving up 4 in the first inning. By no means does this mean Nola's a bad pitcher. He's still a good pitcher, still one of the better pitchers in the National League. But I think for him to kind of take that jump from being a good pitcher to a great pitcher slash perennial Cy Young candidate, those types of starts have to turn into productive ones.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Was very disappointed. You knew they were kind of doomed when Swanson homered, and then it was 4-1. And it was kind of like, it's gonna be one of those nights, huh? Yeah, that was it. It's odd because he didn't stink in his first start of the week, but last night was really, really pulled the whole week down as a whole. Would have been a nice way to end the week with a strong Nola outing, but he didn't get it. And for the 80th time in this episode, I'm going to preach. He's got him out his neck good.
All right. Philly of the week. Who do you got?
Vince,
Okay.
2 very good outings. Anyway, he kept them in both games. He gave up, let's see, I'm gonna read through them again. 1.59 ERA this week in 11 innings, 150 batting average against, 619 OPS. I mean, the numbers are what they are. He had a nice week.
Yeah, that 11 innings through 2 starts is what it is.
I mean, dude, he went 6-1. He pitched into the sixth in both of them. He had a good week, dude. What do you want me to say?
If you say so.
He
I
absolutely had a
cannot
good week.
believe
What are you
you
talking
didn't
about?
go Gene. I cannot believe you didn't go Gene. I'm disappointed. I'm
Well, I mean,
shocked.
hey, man, gotta give credit where it's due. Vince Velasquez had himself a damn good week.
Okay.
If
All
I would
right.
have told you last Sunday that Vince Velasquez was going to go 6 innings of 1 run ball on Monday, 5 1/3 of 1 run ball on Saturday, you would have been like, "Sign me up." You know you would be too, because I would have said the same thing. He had a good week, dude. It is what it is. He'll
We'll
probably
revisit.
he'll probably be my non-Philly next week.
Yeah. All right. No, I good for Vince. Like I
Yeah.
said, I just want more than 5 innings. That's all I
All
want.
right, get it.
I don't
Well,
think that's too much to ask.
to be fair, he didn't pitch 5 innings. He pitched more. Both
Yeah.
of
Okay. Okay. Yeah, good for Vince. He had a good week. He kept him in. Look, he's pitched better than Chase Anderson this year. So I'll give him that. Good for him.
And look, I saved Gene Segura for you because I'm guessing that's where you're going to go.
He's not. That's the problem. Gene
Oh,
wasn't
alright.
mine.
Wow, Gene, yeah, man.
Um. Okay. And you're not. I don't think you're gonna like this one. But
Mm.
mine is Andrew McCutchen.
Oh, yeah, I should have known that. You already hinted at that. Yep, you're right.
And it's look his defense. And I want to pull up his weekly stats real quick.
Ah, he's a
his
mess.
his defense is bad.
Yeah,
His defense is bad, and I still think he's having that issue of kind of a little lackadaisical out in the outfield for whatever reason, where he's not like trying all that hard. Whatever, but he's been hitting the ball over his last 7 games. I've got it pulled up. He hit 385 with a
yep.
448 on base percentage. His slug is up at a 769. He hit 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. He walked 3 times, only struck out
OPS
5
plus
times.
12, I guess, huh?
Yeah. OPS through the roof. He's raised his batting average the last like week and a half by over 100 points. So, some exceptional hitting, some at bats that reminded me of that 2019 McCutchen pre ACL, where I was like, dang, like we still have a very good player at the top of our lineup. Look, we all know he was never going to be the MVP version of McCutchen. I think we all kind of figured his defense was going to regress, his athleticism was going to regress. Maybe not to the extent we've seen, but I think we've both kind of been of the same mindset of, look, if he can just start hitting the ball, if he can just start being a productive leadoff hitter, we can deal with him messing up once in a while in left field. I'd prefer if he didn't. I still
Yeah.
really want him on the team next year. But if he's going to hit
Ah,
385 over a week long stretch, I'm going to tip my cap. I believe he was my non-Philly of the week last week. I
yep.
say it every week. My goal every time I name someone the non-Philly of the week is to come back the next week and
Yeah.
give them the Philly of the week award. I'm hoping that for Nola this week. McCutchen kind of answered the call this week. So again, just like with Vince, I gotta tip my cap to that.
Yeah, and you mentioned next year. There is no way he better be on this
Oh,
roster.
I think he should get an extension. 3
Yeah,
years, 100 million.
yeah. Get him off my baseball team after this season.
Yeah.
Good week though, no doubt about it. He was big for them this week, and it's good because we mentioned Harper. Was he 0 for 9 this week or this weekend? The last 2 days. McCutchen's one of the guys that really kept him in most games this week. So look, is he going to hit 385 every week? No, but just be a productive player. That's all we're asking. We're paying you $20 million a year to do it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And look, got the Nats up ahead. Obviously, we're off tonight.
Get the brooms out, man.
I really think they could if they wanted to. I think they could sweep this baseball team. Like, I mean, the Nats, like I said, we're gonna miss Scherzer. The 3 pitchers we're facing this week aren't good. The Nats lineup, it's so incredibly top heavy. As long as you can navigate through Soto and Trey Turner, 3 times a night, like it's not a very good lineup from top to
They
bottom.
they sweep. Are you back in? I'll save your seat.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm being steadfast with this. I'm not
Alright,
doing this.
alright, alright.
They have to prove it to me
I'm gonna get
over
you. I get
like
you.
like a month long period. If
Yeah.
they can like win like 65% of their games, I'll be back in.
So if they go like 16-11 in May, you'd be like, "Alright,
Maybe.
they're 5-2 so far."
If they went like 17-10, I'd be back in.
Okay.
It's got to be
Well, hey,
17.
man, I'm all for that. Let's do that.
Look, and I think 2 episodes ago, I said they have to get back over 500 since opening week. They're 13-16 since their
Yeah.
5-1 start. They're not there yet. They were almost there, and then they blew
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So they gotta start. It's just got to be consistent, man. It's got to
You
be
know what my
consistent.
thing is now not to drop back under 500.
Yes, like they shouldn't drop back under 500 for the rest of the season, in my opinion.
Ideally, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. But I agree. We got the Nats next. Be interesting new team we've never seen before. At least that's what it feels like. Couldn't even like we already talked about it. It's crazy that they haven't played them yet.
Yeah, is Juan Soto even still on the team? I don't know. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
I
him.
don't know. I haven't seen them in years. But yeah, so let's get back on track, man. Got to use this off day effectively. Go out and get a dub tomorrow night. That's where I'm at with it. That's really all I have to say on it. Let's just go out and get a win.
Tomorrow night's gonna feel like a damn like World Series game with how
Uh,
much people are
must.
gonna be hyper analyzing it. But yeah, I agree. Look, gotta come out, gotta get a win, and then you get to turn to Wheeler and Eflin and say, all right, guys, bring us home.
Yep.
Let's finish with a good week here, and then we'll start getting ready for Toronto. With that said, talked about a lot today. Kind of a longer episode, so we appreciate y'all
Yeah.
sticking with us. Lots to talk about over the last couple of days. We will be back Thursday afternoon. I believe Thursday is an earlier game, so we'll be back after that. With that said, you can check us out on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to give us a subscribe over there. We're on Twitter and Facebook. Both of those links will be down in the description below. We're also on YouTube if you want to watch our podcast. We've been very, very impressed with kind of the YouTube support over the last couple of episodes. So yeah, definitely check us out over there. That link will be down in the description below. With that said, Kevin, you got anything else for us today?
Let's go Phillies.
Go Phillies. Yeah, we're the Bullpen Blues podcast. We'll be back in a couple of days.